Hello and welcome to the Mama and a Manse podcast. My name is Christy and I'm your host. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Mama and a Manse, and there is a group over on Ravelry for all fans of the show to visit, and there'll be some fun giveaways and things going on in there, as well as topics to discuss and all that kind of fun stuff. I am the mother of 5. And I'm also a pastor's wife in the Presbyterian church. The house that's provided for clergy is called Manse, so that's where the name comes from, in case you're wondering. This is a knitting podcast, mostly knitting, some crochet, pretty much all the yarn. So welcome if this is your first time, and thank you for joining me again if you are returning. So I guess after the long hiatus, let's just jump right in there. My first finished object, which I think I might have shown on the last podcast I did, were Hermione's Everyday Sock. There are 2 of them here. I had finished them, and then I have a problem with my feet always. The heel ends up like hanging off the end, or the toes are, there's a whole flap of yarn past my toes. And so I'd really tried not to have that happen this time, and ended up making them too short. So I took out the entire toe and put 2 or 3 more rows in here at the end, and then redid the toe. So I did 4 toes on these. And toes are not my favorite thing to do on socks. They're my very least favorite thing. So that was kind of a bummer, but I did have these to wear for the Christmas season, and I absolutely love this colorway. It is one of my favorite. This is One Twisted Tree Pagoda from Prairie Girl Danny from Prairie Girls Knit and Spin. OneTwistedTree.com is her website. And this color is the Love Potion Update 9.2. I apologize that there are kid toys going off. When you walk through an old house, it jiggles them just enough that they go and start playing. And my husband just removed the baby from crying in the living room. My goal was to have 2 pairs of Christmas socks to wear for the season, and I was able to get that done. My sock blockers have been eaten by the house, or my 3-year-old, so I don't know where they are, but these were my Mistletoe Kisses, which is a knitting expat pattern that came with her new club, or you could buy it separately, her year-long club for 2018. In her patterning, she just does the pattern part on the front half. I chose to do it all the way around, including on the very edges. So like this is the side. I just wanted to. This was my first time doing the garter stitch German short row heel, and I just grabbed the other end of the yarn ball and did those. They came out pretty even. This was Turtle Pearl yarn, also called Mistletoe Kisses, and it's in the glitter. Yeah, you can see the glitter. I would say that this hill is maybe kind of shallow for me. It feels like it doesn't go around my whole heel. But comparing it to other socks, I don't really have any that I'm like, oh, this is a great fitting sock. And so I don't know if that's just what I'm used to, that they feel bigger. But it wasn't too bad. I think I did have to redo it once. I can't remember now because it's been a long time. But I really liked how the split skeins that Turtle Pearl sends the yarn in really came out for a nice matchy pair. And I was able to wear those for Christmas, and of course got some chewed up candy on the side of them, so then they had to be immediately washed. Okay, and then my other finished object is my Jamie shawl. This is by Jamie Black of Cozy Up Knits on Ravelry. and the Cozy Up with the Stitch and Sisters podcast. She's the eldest, and this you can do in worsted or DK. I did mine in worsted. Sorry. And it is from Retold Yarns. I ordered on Etsy. And this is You Can't Take the Sky From Me, which is a superwash merino. I ended up using, I don't remember, I think US 6s. And it's very variegated, so I don't know how well you can see. There's some bobbles in here, there's little eyelets. This shawl has been getting worn constantly. I finished it and blocked it in time to wear it for Christmas Eve, morning and evening services, and I've been wearing it a ton ever since. The only issue that I have with this is that this is my first time doing an I-cord edging, and I feel like I could have blocked out the body more without the I-cord, and so I've only done I-cord as an I-cord. And so I think that perhaps you're not supposed, I always like pull it really tight so I don't get the lines across the back. Oh, it's snowing. Is it supposed to snow?
There's a chance.
Well, it's snowing. And so I don't know if you're supposed to do it looser when you're doing it as an edging. But that's not designer error, that's me not knowing what the heck I'm doing. But I love this. It's soft, it's warm, I love the colors. It's really something that goes with almost everything in my wardrobe. When it hasn't been 20 below zero, I've used it for a coat a couple times, just enough warmth to keep me nice and toasty and just run to the van really fast. Okay, I guess we are on to whips. I have to remember which bags I stuck things in. So my first whip is living in this little bag. It is from Beach Dreams Bags on Etsy. And I've kept her card this whole time so I could put it, so I could show you. She's SL Sliders on Instagram and Beach Dreams Bags on Etsy. So, I've gotten a lot of her bags. If you've watched my other podcasts, you've probably noticed that almost all of my bags were from her. That is no longer the case. But she had put one of these on, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have so many of her bags. I shouldn't buy another one. But when she put another one of them on, then I was like, okay, I have to have the little church, the Christmas church out in the country, because this is not what our church looks like, but we are a rural church, and I'm the preacher's wife, so I should have a church bag. So I joined Knitting Expats, both stock clubs for the year. So there's Wanderlust and Cozy. The first one was Wanderlust, and they're coming out every other month, alternating. And for some reason, I have it in my head that Cozy is definitely the easier one, and Wanderlust was going to be the one that was more complicated. So when this came out, and I was like thinking that it was supposed to be a Wanderlust, I was like, this is knits and pearls. Why in the world? I thought she said it was going to be harder, but I was completely wrong in my head. And also, I did it toe up, and when I first started it, I was like looking at it, I'm like, this pattern does not match the pictures that she has on the pattern. And so, like, oh my gosh, she totally messed this up, but she did not. I just needed to get further in the pattern. But this is in Stroll Tweed. The colorway is Thirst Heather from Knit Picks. And it looks like it's ginormously long. I'm making a 56 because my pearls are really loose and it stretches, and I have skinny, short, I have small feet for my height, and they're pretty skinny. But also I'm doing them so that they will be boot length. And this time I did the German short roll heel that she has in her pattern, but I did not do the garter. And I think this one actually fits me a little bit better. I like the way this one feels, so I just wanted to kind of try that one out, but I could be done anytime with these, but I want them to be tall enough that if I'm like wearing boots under jeans instead of over the usual stretchy leggings that I'm constantly living in, that I don't have the boots touching my leg, which just annoys me for some reason. So those are the Rest for Burr socks by Knitting Expat. And then a whip that I showed a long time ago has gotten to a new point. This was my dad's shawl, and I told the whole story, I think, in the first episode, but basically I had started this pattern, which is the Falling Leaves from Dory Brown, which is a free pattern on Ravelry, and I don't know why I did it. It was a while back in my knitting career, and so I didn't have enough of this blue yarn to make it long enough to be worth wearing. And because there were memories of my dad kind of wrapped up in starting this project, I did not want to just frog it and not do it. So I bought this Madeline Tosh Gemini Twins colorway. His favorite color was orange, so you can see there's some little flecks of orange. I feel weird when just my eye is showing, like, there's some little flecks of orange, but it's mostly the blue, black, and pink, which are colors that I would wear more, because I am not an orange person. But I have gotten to the point where this, like, middle section, I decided to do just this garter, and I slipped one with the yarn in front on the edges, so it would be kind of a neat instead of just bumpy. And I knit until I was down to 5 grams, which is what I'm putting in my pinwheel blanket, and so then I'm done with the Gemini Twins, and we'll go back and do the other half of the Kangaroo Dyer blue color. And then I will be done with that. When I cast this on in January of, Isaac was born in 2014, January of 2014. So this is, at the end of this month, will be 4 years old. Math, it's good for you. Okay. Now my last whip is the Cozy Up with the Stitch and Sisters My Sister Shawl Mystery Knit Along. It's currently Sunday, and the clue will probably be coming out in the next couple hours. It's been coming out in the evening, like around 5 o'clock for me in Nebraska, the last couple weeks. So I can't imagine that there's really anybody who doesn't know what clues 1 and 2 look like. But if you do not want to see this, then look away and just stare at your knitting very intently, and then I will tell you when to look back. So
Quiet, I'm podcasting.
Knock it off. My husband watches The Grocery Girls a little bit too much. So this was clue 1 where it started, and we have this provisional cast on, which I have on these needles, and it went on through, and then down, this is clue 2. Down here. Yeah, I'm holding that right. And so originally I had shown you my ball yarn, which I bought to do this 3-color shawl, and then I changed my mind, and I do have an update what I'm going to do with that yarn instead. But I decided to get the Midnight Cravings set in the Sarah colorways. So I have wrought iron, dingle dop, named after what they call stitch markers, and the Raisin the Bar, which the purple is the Sarah color. My dingle dop is coming out to me it looks really green. And I would say I'm trying podcasting during the day and in a different location because I thought the light might be a little bit better, and it's not great, but that is what it looks like. I don't know if it's because the purple makes the green complementary color come out of it more, but it does look pretty green to me. But it's gray and teal and purple and pink speckles. I have some in a skein to show you too. So that is where I'm at on that, and once the podcast is done, I'm hoping that I have some more knitting to do. But every time that I sit down and like start super knitting on it, I end up missing an Instagram live, and then I'm super disappointed, and that's just sad. My sister Shaw is living in a new bag. This is from, oh, and I had the Needle Cozy. Not very good at holding on to things. The Knit Best Thing is where I got this bag from. And I had to have this. And even though it's kind of a Christmas bag, it is going to be an all-winter bag. And I absolutely love it. Lots of stuff fits in here. I have 3 skeins and a shawl all in this bag. And that's like the first bag that I bought that wasn't Beach Drapes bags, which her bags are great, but I just wanted something a little bit different to show on the podcast. And I got some little treats that I've been saving. There's some teas in here and a cute little note that she sent with her bags. Okay, so I'm just gonna go right into the yarn section. I have a lot of yarn porn this week. It's been like a month. Christmas came and itchy fingers on internet came. So when I decided to change my sister shawl colorways, I had a really hard time deciding which sister's color to get. And the other one that I was really leaning towards besides Sarah with the purple were Katie's colors in this aqua, which is called Droplet. So I got another thing of Dingle Dop, and you can kind of see the flecks a little bit more. See, this one doesn't look as green in the skein. Maybe in this area it kind of does. In the skein as it does on my shawl. But yes. These are going to be socks because I absolutely loved this color. And I also got a mini skein set from them, and I think that this might go into the Mega Rose shawl by Boston Gin with a black from Prairie Girl Danny that I already had too. Sorry, I'm trying not to crinkle any more than I have to. But that's from Midnight Cravings, and they are on Etsy and also Instagram is Midnight Cravings. Okay. So for Christmas, I got some these two 3 Irish Girls, and this is Dog's Palace. Actually, I don't know. It's D-O-G-E, so I don't know if that's like dog or dog and just a weird, but there's this gray, and this is creme de la creme, and I don't normally go for this color, but for some reason, anything with peach I don't really go to because it's too close to orange, but I absolutely fell in love with this one and had it on my wish list, so my yarn lady told my husband. But I really want to find something like a florally brioche, which I have not done before, to put these in, and I haven't had luck searching yet. So if anybody knows of some kind of like a leaf pattern or flowery looking pattern, I don't just want lines of brioche, I want something pretty, more graphic, but I thought that that would be pretty, and then that way I can flip it over the other way and have the other color dominant if I want. So there are those. And then I also, my husband was able to get me a Hedgehog Fibers 3-month club. So I think it's December, January, and February. And that came during the meantime. And so there is this pink color, which is Purple Noise. Okay, well, it's pink to me. There's some purple in it, but I'm just surprised by that name. And then this one is Man on the Moon. My husband's like, you like that? But I love it. I really love lime green, but I just don't wear it because redhead complexion does not go well. But these actually go really well together. They have like a lot of the same colors and speckles in them. So I don't know yet what I'm going to do, but I am very excited about both of these. I was really worried because a lot of people who have done it before that I've seen, they were like, oh, I really like one of them, but the other one I wasn't really crazy about. And so I was like, oh gosh, what if they send me something really ugly and I hate it? But loved both of those, so that was a success. I was very excited about that. Turn my page. Then I joined one of the swapless swaps from the Crazy Sock Lady on Ravelry and Instagram, and I think YouTube as well. And this one was for December. Yeah, for December. It was the What the Flock swap. It got all these little minis. There's lots of neon-y colors. This one looks very superhero-y. I was really happy with those. Those are neat. I've not had any of the What the Flock yarn before, so that's kind of what I like about these little swap type of things, that I can try out a new dyer without spending $30 on a skein of yarn or whatever, and I can see more than just one color as well. And they'll just make super pretty blocks in my pinwheel scrap blanket. And then the other one that I'm in is from Row 1 Yarns. Can't open my bag. So each month you get this little baggie with yarns in it, and this month was Autumn and Indigo. You get a little progress marker and some little treats, which this month was a Twix bar, which my husband immediately confiscated and scarfed down. I can't have gluten, so that's why, but I kind of wanted him to sound bad, but he's ignoring me now, so. This month's Dingle Dop was a little sweater. I don't know if that's focusing or not. A sweater on knitting needles. I can't remember if I said, but this month was Autumn and Indigo. So here's one pile. And here is another pile. So sometimes you get like 10 and sometimes you get 20. So obviously the yardage varies a little bit. Like last time was 10 colors, and so they were heavier. This time, every time except for last month, has been 20 of them. But they're a perfect size for the scrap yarn blanket, for the pinwheel. And I just have a little bit left over, not hardly any at all. Okay, so that's the last of the like just yarn porn. I'm also like doing some planned knitting. I'm going to make the V-neck boxy, and for that I bought a sweater's quantity of Wonderland Yarns Marianne in the Victorian China colorway. So it's a cream with kind of magenta and blue navy mint speckles in it. and I thought that that would be a pretty boxy. And I'm also going to do the Knife Grinder's Daughter, which is new from Catherine Folkerth. It's K Folkerth on Instagram. I didn't tell you who Hohi is because I assumed that you know. Hohi Locat on Instagram. But for that, I'm using also Wonderland Yarns in Marianne. This one is mint chocolate, and that's pretty self-explanatory of why it's called that. I was looking for more of a like a spruce green or an olive green color to do this in because I thought it would be so gorgeous. This was kind of the closest that there was to that, but I fell in love with this yarn, and then right after I bought this, then 6 and 7 fibers came out with their tonals, and I almost bought the green from her because it was exactly what I had been looking for. But if you haven't noticed in the last 10 minutes, I've bought kind of a lot of yarn lately, so I did not. But I'm hoping that this will look good in that. I'm always kind of a little bit scared about how speckly it's going to actually be, or if it's just going to kind of blend, but that's what's planned for that. And then the ball yarns that I had originally bought for my sister shawl, I've decided instead to do a freer fade, which I think they really lend themselves to, and that's from Andrea Mowry. I think these will be really pretty. They're such gorgeous colors anyway. That's not doing, this one's a little bit more gray than it looks on the camera. But I had to have the dingle up, so that's why these guys have a new purpose in life, but they still have a purpose, so that's good. And then this is my very last Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted. There were a couple of snafus with the post office, and so it just came this week. And this was from Sarah on Purpose. And I didn't know that she was, I don't know why I didn't realize she was from Canada, so I feel even super worse that she had to send it twice. But she sent me this cute card. Look how cute that is. I love peacocks, so those colors are just lovely to me. She sent me some little cards to use. I thought those were adorable and such a sweet little surprise. And they're called infusions. And it doesn't, I think they maybe are loose leaf tea type thing. I haven't opened them yet. This just came like a couple days ago. And an apple spice drink. So now I get to enjoy all of those. And she sent me several little minis. Well, some not so little minis actually. And this big honker. So those are gonna just look so lovely. And now I have all this Canadian yarn that can go into my pinwheel blanket. That's so exciting to me. My first ever out of the country mail and yarn all started coming from the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted, which was just wonderful. I loved that. It was so much fun. So as far as other acquisitions, I do have a few. I've shown you a couple of the bags that I've gotten. I also didn't really show you too much of my needles, but I did get a few new needles from Santa Claus. Santa knew that I used ones and like to magic loop 2 at a time, so I got these one signatures. They are a long cord. I can't remember how long I got them. I think I got whatever was more than 40, and I got the like super long tip, so it's longer than my hand, but then both socks kind of can be on the needle. And so I really like that. And then my two most used sizes are 4s and 5s. Those are the ones I'm always running out of needles and having to find them and steal them from other projects. So I knew that those were my most used ones, and then also said, you know, told Santa that the ones 3s and 6s on each side of that would probably be my next most used ones. So I got 3s and 6s, stilettos, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s, stilettos, and the random different picked and choose on my cables. I think for the 4s and 5s I got 2 cables for each, 24 and 32. I got the short tips in case I ever want to get hat length cords. And then the 3s and 6s, I just got 1 each. But I'm really loving the needles. The needles are absolutely wonderful. The only thing that gives me a little bit of kind of a hesitation is the join. My yarn seems to catch on it. But the cords themselves are fantastic, and I love the needles. So that may just be me needing to get used to them. I don't know where the rest of them are, so you can take that as that. Oh yeah, for my white buffalo or whatever, I got my first ugly Christmas sweater, and because it's a wool producer, I was super excited. Granted, it's alpacas that most of the yarn comes from, but it has bales and tassels, and it's hideous, and I love it. Let's see. And then I got my first Mrs. Brown's bags, which were totes, which is what I wanted, because that's what all of Jody's friends have, and I've been so jealous and wanted one for so long, and then they came up in the store, and my husband got me 2 of them. So I absolutely love both of these, the neons and the purple. I don't know why I'm so in love with the neons now. In the 80s, I wouldn't have touched them with the 10-foot pole. That was my sister Kimberly's deal. And now I'm just like, give me all the neon. I don't know why that is at all. I did go ahead. Oh, and Mrs. Brown's bags are on Etsy. I thought I saved the card, but it just says Mrs. Brown's on it. But if you are a knitter, you probably know where to find her. I did get a Grocery Girls enamel pin, which I have like refrained from putting on anything for so long, just so I could show it. It's adorable. It's my first enamel pin. I showed you the Beach Dreams bags. My in-laws got me one of these types of bags with the zipper top and the holes up top for more than one yarn. Currently my long line cardigan is living in this. It's got really cute lining in it, actually. Has this like tealy blue polka dot that I really like. And they also got me this yarn bowl. And then I did get this other bag from the Knits Best Thing. I can't remember if I showed the, I think I did show the card earlier. So Dawn of the Codependent Knitters has the shop, the Knits Best Thing, and she had this up as a giveaway, which I did not enter, but I needed this so bad. Right after my dad died, my granny told us that cardinals are, she told us girls that cardinals are our loved ones coming back from heaven to say hi or something, you know, watching out for us or whatever. So now, like, whenever I see a cardinal, I automatically think of my dad. And so I definitely needed this. Plus, they're just like the prettiest thing in the snow. Absolutely love this bag. Currently, this is hiding my very scary hat design that I'm in the middle of ripping 2 rows out of at the same time. So I won't show that because it's kind of insane looking, and I'm also dropping stitches off of it, which is super wonderful. But when it's not so scary, if anybody is interested in test knitting a hat design, let me know, because I should probably get it test knitted. That's the way you're supposed to do it when you're a big kid. I don't know that I'm an adult, but at least a big kid. And then with that, Dawn also sent a giveaway for one of you. And it's been living in its pretty packaging because I have 5 children. The oldest is 9, the youngest is 7 months old, and our house is perpetually gross and sticky and dirty. So actually we had to clean chocolate milk off the wall behind me that had just like splattered, and our Christmas tree literally just moved from this space in the last week because Christmas wasn't over until last weekend because Epiphany. And so I don't even know how the chocolate milk got there. And actually, I think, yeah, you can see some lovely artwork. Once a month, magic eraser through the whole house. Okay, so, Dawn sent this lovely bag. Now, it's Canadian made, but American themed. And there is a needle cozy as well. And it has all kinds of landmarks from around the country. And I studied this thing, and I only found one place that I've been. I'm not very good at traveling. I've only been to one thing on here. But I really should just try to use this as a map to map my vacations. But anyways, there's also an adorable little dingle dop. Can you see that? I think. I don't know. I can't tell. The way that you can win this adorable little set and specialties as well is to go to, well, first you should definitely subscribe to the Codependent Knitters and to Mama and Manse. We have no way of checking that because most people's aren't public, but you can go over to my Ravelry group. It will be linked down in the description box below, and introduce yourself in the introduction thread. Go figure. And once I have reached 50 subscribers, then the next time I'm getting ready to podcast, when I've reached 50 subscribers, I will use random number generator and pull from that introduction thread, and whichever one I pull, I will obviously keep pulling until it's not me, as I have responded to several people in that thread. That person will win the American bag. It's best thing, American themed, Canadian made bag. And I keep saying American, and that drives me crazy. The US themed bag, because Canada and Mexico are America too. And I don't know, that's one of my pet peeves, but now I'm doing it too, because everybody does it. I don't know. I don't know why it even bothers me, but the United States themed, Canadian made. It's an American bag either way. Okay, so, yeah, if you have any questions, let me know, but I think that that's kind of straightforward. And here's their little card to the Codependent Knitters. If you have not checked them out, then you definitely need to. I don't know how you get this stuff to focus. Can you read it? I don't know. And they gave me a sweet little shout out, and I about died. That was so weird to hear somebody talking about you on YouTube. Can you hear my dingles? Let's see, where are we? Okay, so since it's the new year, a lot of people do resolutions, or they do their word for the month, for the year. Sorry, I'm just making sure all my bags are empty because I had to pack up a ton of stuff to do this. Whatever your focus is, I'm going to open another thread on in the Ravelry group about creating goals. Whatever your creating goals for the year are, fiber related. I'm not going to put like, I want to get better at brush lettering. But I truthfully have about 14 of them, some of which I've already started to make some progress on, whether they are learning or mastering a new technique, organization that you need to do with your stash or your needles or Ravelry, new projects, old whips, whatever it is that you want to focus on working on for the year. You can go in and make a list in that thread and then just update it through the year. I had kind of joined a 17 and 2017 one last year, and I kind of just like stopped paying attention to it because it wasn't really, there was a lot of, each month had kind of a theme of how you would win a prize, but they never coincided with what I wanted to do. So go in and put your list in and just keep updating that same list all through the year. When you get finished, you can edit it. If you want to add pictures, you can. And I will probably just towards the end of the month, each month, pick somebody out of there with random number generator and probably gift a pattern, unless I come up with other prizes. I think it's just fun to kind of see what people are really wanting to do, and when people, meet their goals. So whatever you have for that, some of mine is completing like the knitting expat socks each month, which will give me 12 new pairs of socks, and that's pretty much a box of socks, Operation Sock Drawer. It kind of keeps me accountable like that. Completing the Cozy Up MCal on time, which so far I've been done with each clue by the next day. I want to release my hat design. I would love to do that by the end of January, but considering that I didn't get to knit on it until just like after Christmas, I don't know how soon that's going to be. I have a lot of garments that I currently have yarn for, some that are started and some that aren't, that I would like to get all of them knitted up. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry if you were just counting your knitting and I just counted. I have 5 on here that I had already had yarn for, but I did buy for the V-neck boxy and the knife grinder's daughter, so there's actually 7 of those. I want to learn brioche, which I, have those 2 yarns that I wanted to do brioche with, so that kind of works out. I think I'm going to do a scrappy granny rectangle blanket with some of my bigger scraps. I was thinking about participating in Boston Jen's, sorry I'm saying a lot. She's got a thing where you are supposed to use up an entire skein in a month. And I want to make everybody a nice hat out of nice yarn, all my kids and husband. And so I was thinking that a good way to use that up, besides like coffee cup cozies, would be to make a rectangle square blanket with the worsted weight scraps, as I'm doing the pinwheel with the fingering weight right now. Sorry, I keep doing it. I thought that would be a good way, and then maybe each year, if I have enough to complete one in a year, I can give it to a kid. And it would probably be a pretty good size for a twin blanket, a twin bed. I did have de-stash, anything I won't ever use. And if you're following me on Instagram, you might have seen this, but I packed up before I went to our Christmas, my family Christmas on December 30th. I packed up 144 skeins. Not all of them were complete skeins, but a lot of them were, of yarns that I am probably not going to use. And even if I was going to use something like that, I could easily get it again for very little. And so 144 skeins left my house. That was huge for me. I'm a total hoarder. I don't consider my yarn stash hoarding, but when I was really looking at, if you've watched any of my other videos, I'm usually sitting in front of my like nice pretty yarn, and that is what I consider my stash. That is the nice stuff, the things that I've acquired in the last couple of years, most of it since we've lived here, which has been 2.5 years. Stuff that I'm definitely wanting to work with is on the nicer side, all that stuff. And then I had yarn in the basement, which was yarn that I had bought and acquired. You know, some people were like, hey, I have this box of yarn that I found at a garage sale, and gave it to me that I would never even touch. Even like the Walmart yarn, cotton yarn, dishcloth yarn compared to the knit picks, I really prefer the knit picks, so I wasn't going to use much of that anymore. All those kind of things. I had a lot of I love this yarn. I would still use some of it, but I'm moving towards not using that. I did make a Halloween kind of costume thing for the baby in the baby carrier for this year with I love this yarn, but I don't need 144 skeins of stuff that I am most likely not going to use, especially when you can go and get a new skein for under $4 if I do end up needing any of it. So that was a huge relief, and made a pretty big dent in the basement yarn. There is some more basement yarn floating around in different places, but as I find it, then I can decide whether I want it or not. So that was a huge thing. I don't seem to be able to stop saying that. And then there was one more that I was going to talk about. Oh, okay, so the last one that I'm going to talk about on here, and I will put my list in the thread, but I plan to finish or frog all of my current whips. I'm not sure exactly how many there are, but I think there are at least 20. I will be gathering them up this week for my next podcast. I'm going to show all of them. Some of them I can think of in my head and have decided already. I'm definitely not going to finish that. And got rid of the yarn that was for it, even. I don't know what whips I have in the basement, other than the one thing I can think of that I'm definitely getting rid of. But that is something that I will go over next time and kind of decide. Maybe there's a lot of people who are doing contests with their whips right now, that where the viewers get to pick what they're going to work on. I may do a little bit of that. I try to have a sock, a shawl, a garment, and a hat on my needles at all times, because I can't always work on those types of, you know, there are sometimes things that you can't work on in a public setting or in the van or whatever. So having the different types means I have a different weight, often a different size of needles. That helps with my wrist. And also, you know, you don't end up with being on the sister shawl in the lace section and your socks have the heels that need to be put on and you need something for knit night, because neither one of those is great for that. So as I maybe finish one of those categories, I should also add blanket, because I have some of those. You've seen a few. As I finish one, then that same category, I might be like, okay, which one? I don't know, we'll see. But I will share those with you next time. Hopefully next week. It's been really difficult for me to get these in. We've had a lot of sickness in our family. I believe in my last podcast I was pretty sick then. Congestion wise, I ended up, I do not remember the last time I had a general practice doctor. I'm pretty sure it was like 12 or more years ago, because I have been under the care of an OB for most of the last 10 years, and I don't usually get sick very often, other than when I'm pregnant, which is awful. And I've had to go to the doctor twice since I podcasted last for being sick. I ended up with a sinus infection and was taking antibiotics for that through Christmas, and then I got some weird virus that was not the flu because they tested for it, and it was bone pain that to me was comparable to childbirth. Like how your thighs and pelvis just hurt when you're having a baby. That's what it felt like from my neck to my knees. And I had fever. I was not sick to my stomach. I never threw up. I didn't have a sore throat. My ears didn't hurt. Nothing. Just horrible pain and a fever. It was lovely. So between that and physical therapy, which I can't remember if I had been told to go, sorry, the 3-year-old has escaped. If I had been told to go to physical therapy before my last podcast, but I did do about 5 weeks of that. And so going to that twice a week and being sick did not make for a lot of downtime on top of it being Christmas and Advent. Sorry. Hopefully if he comes down here, he's dressed. He's sort of learning to use the potty, but that often means he's naked. Like 95% of the time that he's awake, he is naked. So between those things, I've really had a hard time. My older son, who is 7, has been sick twice now, currently sick since Friday, and he just keeps popping fever. I don't know. That's kind of what he did last time too. He said his stomach hurt, and he had a fever, never threw up. I don't know, but he did that the week before Christmas, and then now this week actually missed school. So we've had quite a bit going on, and that's a lot of the reason that I have not found time recently. And our little 7-month-old doesn't ever sleep, so that doesn't help either. I think that might be all the rambling I have for you. My eldest daughter might have a little bit of her hat. I'll see if she wants to share some of that, and I might add that in. But otherwise, I will see you next week. Have a great week, and enjoy all of your yarn and knitting, and stay warm. So Emma has made some progress on her hat that she was going to share with you guys. The other two, between the sickness, me being sick and him being sick and Lizzie being 6, they have not worked on it since the last time that we recorded and showed their work, but Emma has worked on her some. If you watched the last one, we had kind of a string going around the outside issue that we needed to fix. And when I was fixing that, basically I think she had just picked up her yarn from the wrong side. I found a couple of dropped stitches, which I also fixed. But Emma thinks that this needs to meet, oh, honey, that should have been on the inside right there. This one right here. Anyways, I think she was down here on this stripe when we podcasted last. So she's gotten about 3 more stripes. Fixing the drop stitches has really kind of messed with the tension because there was quite a few. You can see these ones are really small compared to like those. But I think blocking it will take care of most of that, and also it's her first hat and she's 9, so it's pretty amazing. And it looks like a bumblebee, but it is really what?
A Hufflepuff hat.
Yeah, it's Hufflepuff. What, you're not going to say hashtag Harry Potter?
Hashtag
I guess
Harry
I'm
Potter.
not. Is there anything else you want to... That is actually, Emma, I don't know. You're getting pretty close, I think, to being able to... I think you could do your decreases now.
Really?
Looks to me like it. That's new stuff to learn, isn't it?
Yep.
So what do you think? You haven't worked a ton on it because it was Christmas and Mommy
Yeah.
was sick, and you haven't really been sick, have you?
No.
No, just everybody else.
Yeah. For some reason, I don't get sick that often. I get sick a lot less than everybody else.
It's from eating all your boogers.
I don't do that.
Anyways, so I think you're probably, what do you think of knitting?
I really like it, and it's really, really fun.
When I was destashing yarn, she did grab out a few yarns that she wanted to keep for herself so she can make some more hats. But I do think that I think you should definitely do decreases now, Chicky. You just got, like, you're crowning. Okay. Anything else you want to share? I think you should leave this hanging here, though. Your little butterfly.
Do-do-do. Forever.
Forever. You have anything else?
No.
Okay. Happy knitting.
Bye.
Hello again. This is the podcast that never ends. I also wanted to share some stuff that my sister has done. While it's not knitting with kids, I did in 2017 teach my youngest sister, to crochet. We made matching granny square blankets because we were both pregnant. My baby was born at the end of May and hers was July 2nd. So they were 6 weeks apart. But I taught her how to knit when she came and stayed with me one night, or how to crochet. And then she has since taken off and gotten on YouTube to find out how to make other things all by herself. I did explain to her how to do single crochet decreases through Facebook Messenger. She lives about 45 minutes away, so we don't get to hang out that much, but she has really taken it by storm. She inherited the 144 skeins that I got rid of. Anything that she decides she's not going to use, we're going to donate somewhere. But I thought that I would share some of the things that she's done. She got on YouTube and figured out how to make a hat for herself and a scarf. She is a huge Zelda fan and made a Zelda hat for her little boy, which is absolutely adorable. And then she just sent me another picture within the last couple days of a unicorn hat that she made that she's really proud of. So even though it's not knitting with kids, it is crocheting, and she is my yarn baby because I taught her how to yarn. So as far as I'm concerned, it's kind of the same thing. So I just wanted to share that with you. And now have a great week and enjoy all of your knitting. This time for real, I'm going to be gone. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with me, friends. See you next time.